his I don't know what he's doing. Why am I gonna lie? I thought he was with his son. Who knows where he is, but he's not with us today. So wherever you are, Kid Disco, God bless your soul. Be safe and have fun. But we do have our Shelly Shell Williams as usual. And we also have my cousin, sister friend, love, everything, girlfriend, name it. Anissa Faulkner with us today, and we can't wait to get into her story. Oh, wow, wow, wow. What a great story it is. Okay, so we're not gonna do commercials today because we don't have Kid with us. And
you could do a live commercial. Go ahead, do a commercial.
Okay, I'm gonna do a commercial. Hey you guys. My name is Cinda Williams, and hey, I got a couple books out. Please check them out. Check out a couple of books. One of them is called Pink Penny Confessions. And I wrote that a long time ago, and there's a lot of good stories in there, memoirs, if you want to know a little bit more about my background. And then also, I recently did a book, all this through 220 Publications. It's called Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. Very, very deep book about six women who have gone through a lot and survived it all. And so please go to Amazon or wherever books are sold for Pink Penny Confessions or Faith, Failure, Success, Surviving the Storm. That's two commercials. Y'all got to check out Shelly Shell Williams on Instagram. Y'all got to watch what she's doing. She's doing so many things. She's always teaching, doing workshops, and all kind of stuff. Anissa, she's super mom. That's what she's doing.
Whatever.
Pretty soon with a book coming near you.
Woo! All right. We are good. We are definitely good. Everything is set. Can you see your phone?
I am. Yes, I can. I can see my phone, and I am getting on there right now.
So I'm gonna play the intro. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready. Let's get it.
PPC, 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 yeah. PPC, PPC, CPC, yeah. Join me so we can grow together. Conversation, get that feeling. Let them know what they're missing. Share with your best friend. Tell them come hear this, yeah. Don't you tell us your blessings, powerful lessons, true confessions, yeah. PPC, yeah. A powerful tool for you, 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 yeah.
Yeah. All right. Once again, if you haven't heard me say this last week, Evan L. Lee helped me with that song, and he's got an album coming out. I don't know what it's called yet, but as soon as I know, I'll be talking about it, and we'll be bringing him on the show. Evan L. Lee, check him out on YouTube for his new pop country. Yes, I said it, pop country album. Shocking, never expected that, but very excited to hear it. So, welcome everybody. How y'all doing? Everybody good?
Hey everybody.
All right, Shelly, you know where to take us. Let's go for it.
All right, everybody. Listen, this is that time. I know you heard the intro about True Confessions, so I don't know if Anissa is ready, but it is True Confessions time. Anissa, so tell us your true confession, and then we'll have to follow suit. So it don't have to be that deep, you know.
Goodness, my true confession. I don't even know. I don't even know if it's like there's too many to share or there's any that I can share.
Woo woo.
True confession. I don't know. Cindy, I'm really having a stump here. You know a lot of my confessions, so I don't even know.
Yeah, well, like I said, it doesn't have, she said it doesn't have to be like super deep or anything. It just can be something fun that most people may not know about you. I mean, we're gonna get into some stuff that a lot of people don't know about you eventually in the storyline anyway, but it's something maybe cute or fun that, you know.
True confession is, I like to sing karaoke, but I'm not very good, but I like to sing karaoke.
That's cool.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
We
I
used
like
to do it all the time. We used to do it all the time in LA, and I used to think I was good, but I always freeze up. I have a little bit of stage fright, I think.
think
Mhm.
so, but you like doing it. Why is the stage right?
Right. And you know, I wanted to be a singer. So you would think, you know, and I used to perform and do all of that. And now that I'm older, when I think about it, I just get scared. Like, how could I ever do that? I don't know. I get nervous, I guess. The older we get, I think the older we get, the more aware we become of things. So
Mhm.
You're looking at the people. So you said you wanted to sing, so that means you have some vocals. That means you have some vocals there.
I did, I thought. I did. We sang backup for Cindy.
Oh, did you? Oh man. So you
Cindy.
have vocals. Yes, you have vocals. I get it.
I had some, yeah, I did a little bit of that. I dabbled. That's what I'll say. I dabbled a little bit. I wanted to dance. My thing was I wanted to be an MC Hammer backup dancer.
Oh my gosh, you were insane. That's what I wanted to be, a dance. I wanted to be a hip hop dancer. But oh my goodness, that is so
I wanted to
funny.
tour and do all of that. So that's really why I went to LA, because I went to LA to go dance backup for MC Hammer, Janet Jackson, and all of them. That was my goal in life, was just to dance my life away. Then
Oh my
reality
goodness.
hit, bills started paying and
Because real life
bills started coming.
real life happened, right?
Right, exactly. Bills started to come in. I was like, I need to find some other jobs because this one ain't paying.
Yeah, it didn't pay me well either. The whole thing.
That was two confessions there. Your love of karaoke and your background dancer dreams. Those were good ones. Those are good confessions. I bet you a lot of people don't know about. Oh man. So what about you, Shelly Shell?
I'm with it. I love all of those things. I love karaoke and I wanted to be a dancer as well. That was mine was Salt and Pepper. Yours was MC Hammer. Although I did try to learn every MC Hammer dance. I did. I watch it over and over. 3-5-7. I learned them. I loved it too. I just knew I was going to be a dancer. And now I realize I have not. That's not my skill. I don't understand how to learn the steps really quickly. I'm not quick. I just learned that.
Right.
Well, I can say this about Anissa. Anissa was bad. She could do anything that they could do on TV. Anissa was an amazing, I'm sure you can still move, but she was an amazing dancer and she was a good singer, but she was an amazing dancer. And we all thought that she was going to become like a new Paula Abdul kind of star. Really thought that, you know.
Any video? You got any video? Is there anything that you caught back then that you have that you could go back to? Did you save anything from back then?
I don't. You know what I wish I had was, you know, I tell this all the time how I danced on Soul Train. And like I don't have any of that footage, although I know I've had some because I have seen some reruns. And a couple of on my job, my attorneys came up to me and asked, like, "Hey, Anissa, did I see you on Soul Train?" I'm thinking, what were you doing watching Soul Train? First of all, that's the question we really should be asking here. But yeah, that was me. They're like, "Oh my gosh." I said, "Wait a minute, I know her." I was like, "Yeah, that was me." So yeah,
that would be a confession for them to admit they watched Soul Train.
Right, exactly.
All these old white lawyers.
See, that's the conception right there. Listen, everybody was watching Soul Train. That's probably where they learned the dance move, learned how they get. Listen, that's why it's so popular because everyone was watching it.
Yeah, did Niecy get you on there, Nis? You did it yourself.
No, Greg. at Dancing at the Club, Greg talked to the guy that does the who hires the dancers,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Hey, they want you to come on Soul Train." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got to go on. Now, when I was just about to get to go down the line, you know, you have to be one of the select dancers to go down the line. I was a filler, so I got to be on the side on the podium. The cameramen really liked me, so they would always come and shoot me. But I remember the time I was about to go down the line, and you know, Tony was like, you know, you can go." And then somebody came and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You got to come off." And I was like, "Why?" They're like, "Don doesn't want you going down the line." I was like, "What?" I was so mad. I was like, "Dang it, Don Cornelius."
So I'm like, I'm going anyway.
And they're like, "He pulled you out of the line real quick." And I was like, "Dang it, this was my, you know, my one time," or, you know, I had been there and earned my dues. I thought I had paid my dues and, you know, done the little things that they had asked me to do. And then he pulls me out right when I'm about to go. I was like, "Darn it, what?"
Mhm.
So anyway,
Wow.
didn't get to go down the line. So after that, I just kind of faded away. I was like, you know.
So now you know, Cinda, her next birthday party, you gotta throw a Soul Train birthday party. So she can go down the line.
I haven't been able to have a birthday party with Anissa for her since LA, since we lived in LA. She been so busy with her fantastic life. I'll just say yes, I'm a karaoke girl for sure. Love it, love it, love it, love it, and love to sing the most obscure songs. And Anissa and I used to go every week. Was it twice a week? We would go every week, twice a week. And actually, man, if I had a vehicle to get there, I would go to see Donnie Do now, because Donnie was this guy named Donnie. He called himself Donnie Do, was the karaoke guy, and he's actually still doing it in LA. Yeah. I was thinking of maybe taking Sophia there for her 21st birthday. We're gonna go out. Maybe we could go. Donnie's and go karaoke.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, maybe we should talk to you about coming if you know.
Your sound went out twice. I'm sorry.
Dang on it. Even the microphone isn't working.
It's working. It just went out for a second, but we heard we kind of got the gist of what you were saying with the 21-year-old.
Yeah, Sophie's turning 21. I was thinking about karaoke to take her out. I see what happened. My microphone came unplugged. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll talk to you, Nissa, see if you can come out for the karaoke gathering for Sophia's birthday, and see if we can get her to do it.
And then make it a Soul Train line look, and then add Soul Train.
We can have a Soul Train line.
We did it all the time, and we partied hard. Whenever, you know, my ex always thought I was like messing around. I'm like, no, I was singing and dancing. That was all I was doing, is singing and dancing. But so Nis, on that note, let's get into your story. So let's start from the beginning, because I want to get it all. Everybody, Anissa was one of my babies. I had a whole bunch of babies in a church, and when she was born, her family went to our church. I'll let her tell more about that. But she was one of us, you know. We might as well have called her a Williams, because she was one of us, because my grandparents took her in, godparents, whatever, and she's been in my life ever more since then. So this is actually, you're probably the longest lasting knowing, besides Hassan. I've known you longer than anyone else I've ever invited on the show. So I would say you probably know me more than almost anyone, because literally, and this is the one of a very few number that I call when I'm completely losing my mind. I call Anissa, and the roles have switched, because I used to take care of Anissa, but lately, I don't know, 8 years or so, Anissa's been taking care of me. So so she's very special. So tell us whatever comes to your mind, what you want to share about your childhood and where it took you.
So I am the baby of five. I have four older brothers and sisters, 2 girls, 2 boys. My mom had 4 children in 3.5 years, and then took a break, and 8 years later had me. So at this point, my father had moved my mother and older siblings to Trinity United Methodist Church when they were young. And in that process, my mother, got pregnant with me, and Papa was like, hey, you have this baby, we'll all help with this child, she'll be part of, it'll be like a village literally raised me. When they say that it takes a village, it took a village, literally. And so Papa, Grandma, and Uncle Sonny, Uncle Jacob, Uncle King, Aunt Carla, Aunt Annalie, and Aunt Sadika were my aunts and uncles. Those were their children. So their children were my cousins. And growing up, my parents worked in the church. My father, under the leadership of Reverend J.C. Williams Sr., worked with him. He looked at Papa as a father figure. So he was really there doing, helping in any way that he could. My mother worked in the kitchen, she worked a job and then came to the church and worked. And so literally I was in the church 7 days a week, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Well, while they did their work, all the cousins, we would all play, because everybody would be doing, choir rehearsal or Bible study or chicken dinners or fish fries or, whatever was going on, usher board meetings or whatever. We would always be there. So I just became one of the cousins, born right into the Williams family, literally. So with that being said, as I grew up, identifying mostly as African-American, but clearly I'm not. I was a confused child for a while, but Papa raised us all to respect each other for who we were, not what we looked like. So for me, we were all Black, because all I kept hearing was, you're Black, you're Black, you're Black, you're Black. So I was Black. So that kind of.
Let me add this point. Our church really studied and got to know Black history. So you were learning as much Black history as we were learning. Though we had all kind of different races in our church, the predominant race was Black. And so we studied, especially in the month of February, we really, really learned about Black history. And Anissa was right in there learning Black history right along with us. Okay, go on.
Right. Like Martin Luther King holidays, like we didn't go to school. We were in the church watching film, watching, old movies, marching for the holiday. I remember as a young child, walking with the sign, like, this is what we do, we walk and we march and we're fighting for civil rights, because we all belong, we all deserve it. At that time, I didn't know exactly the depth of what I was doing or what my parents were doing or what they involved me in. But at this point, I'm very grateful and very blessed that my parents chose to raise me the way that they did. I had a lot of hardships, please. It was not easy growing up, in that environment, because, people always had judgments on me, on what, perceptions of, why was I always around these, Black men? Why was I always around, there must be something going on with her. No, that's my cousin. Those are my cousins, we're family. There's nothing going on. But it was, it was really rough. But in that, I learned extended family. Family doesn't always mean blood related. And so from my birth, I've always known that family goes beyond blood. Family is more than DNA. It's more than biology. It's more of who you allow in and who you love. Everybody is family. That's how we were raised. Papa welcomed everyone into his church. I remember there was an alcoholic man that would always come in on Sundays. And he would sit in the back of the church. And I remember Papa telling us, don't you guys because the C's always like to joke. They always like to do the dozens. They always like to clown. And he sat us down and he was like, don't you ever make fun of anyone that comes into this church to praise God. I don't care if he's homeless. I don't care if he stinks. I don't care if he's got alcohol on his breath. As long as he doesn't hurt you or disrespect you, you don't do it to him. You know, like you let people come in however they come in. You know, they're here to get a message. They're here to seek something. And unless they're here to hurt you or, you know, do something else, then you let an adult know and we'll take care of it. But you guys be respectful and you respect them. So from a young age, we were always taught, you know, you never know who's coming in and to always be respectful.
So what about your siblings? You said your youngest of 5. So how did the other siblings, did they understand what was going on, or were they just so removed because they were so much older than you?
No, they grew up in the church just like I did. I think they were like 6, 7, and 8, 9, like they were young when we got to the church. I just think with me, it was just different because I was born into the church. I don't know if that makes any sense. And it was all boy cousins except for Cindy. So everybody was just happy to have a girl, I think. And finally, you know, so I became that girl passed around from Aunt Sadika to Aunt Annalie to, you know, we just all, that's just how it was. I think there is a difference in our relationships. Like I'm a cousin, and they're not necessarily one. And I said this in our first interview about how I was disciplined if I didn't address Aunt Sadika as Aunt Sadika or Aunt Annalie as Aunt Annalie or Uncle King, Uncle Sonny, you know, Uncle Jacob, like those were aunts and uncles. Nothing, you don't call them anything other than those are your aunts and uncles. Now that wasn't enforced on my cousins to my family. You know, my older siblings weren't told those are your cousins. I was told those are your cousins and you were, you know, they're your protectors. They're your family. That's just how I was raised. And I don't think it necessarily was for my older siblings. And so as we have grown up, there has been a little bit of that, I don't want to say tension, but that distinguishment. And, you know, I think, you know, they were Williamses just like I was. I mean, they were raised in it too, just as much as I was. It just wasn't enforced on them like it was enforced on me. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Plus they just, you were with us 24/7. I mean, literally. But you know, you're right. Because I never called your mom Aunt Betty. I called her Mrs. McPeak. Your dad, Mr. McPeak. I still call her Mrs. McPeak. When I was, doing a greeting, because you mentioned her on Instagram the other day, I was like, Mrs. McPeak. And I was like, that is so weird. Because I thought about what you said. I was like, I have never called her anything else but Mrs. McPeak. And I don't know why that happened. It's just, we were, I call people what I'm introduced to them by, and that's how I was introduced to them. And they were always Mr. and Mrs. And that's how I called all the elders. They were Mr. and Mrs., but nobody was Aunt this or Aunt that, although we were always at your house. We were, our fathers were like really close friends, and, but no one ever said to me, call him Uncle Charles, or call her Aunt Betty. No one ever said that to me, and I knew their names. It's just, we were never, that's strange. I don't understand.
Because they would have had to have said that that's what they wanted. You know how like the siblings didn't do the whole family thing. It takes a special person to bring in the family. Like, let's all be family. You know what I mean? Not everybody can do that. So maybe they had the same thing as your sibling.
Yeah. But oddly, like Mr. McPeak was Papa's son. He was as much, honestly, I hate to say this, but sometimes I felt like Mr. McPeak and his sons and Mr. Engel, and they were more Papa's children sometimes than my father and my aunts and uncles, because I don't know what it was. It was an issue. I talked to my grandfather about it before. My grandfather had issues with color. He had, his father was lynched. His uncle was lynched. he grew up in Ohio where it was a lot of white people. So he really was comfortable with white people. And sometimes it showed in the way he treated his own kids. And, I love my grandfather to death, but like, for instance, one of my cousin that's coming on next week, he and his brothers and some of my other cousins weren't treated the same as I was treated, or my brothers were treated because of our color. We were lighter skin. And so I don't even know if Papa knew everybody's name in our family. So it was a lot of conflicted dynamics that were happening. And I don't think anybody took it, was mad at Mr. McPeak, say, or Denny or Mark or any of them. No one ever looked at them like there was an issue, but they definitely looked at Papa like it was an issue. So it was a lot of strangeness, especially near the last 15 years of his life, because you guys were closer to him than we were. Yeah, there's so many that could be a wonderful book in itself, that whole dynamic, that everything that happened in there. So, but I don't want to stay too long here. I want to get on to, so you grew up thinking you were not really sure about your ethnicity, who you were, and you finally found out you white, but you're still Black. So by the time you come out to LA to be on Soul Train, what happened?
Well, I ended up just finding employment and kind of let the entertainment aspect of my dreams kind of subside, and just ended up just working, paying bills. I loved LA. I planned to never leave LA. That was my intentions, was to stay out there forever, because that's where I wanted to be. I loved that life. I met a guy and had a relationship with him and raised his kids. We were together about 10 years off and on. He had 3, and then a 4th came. And so I took on her, and those were my babies. And to this day.
Wait a minute. So you were together and the 4th came while y'all were together?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's exactly how it sounds. Go on.
Okay. Hey.
So he just couldn't make up his mind between me and another. So we shared. So anyway, I had, my girls. Those were my girls. I say this, and I'm still in touch with them to this day. Those are I call them my big girls. And so my kids know about my big girls, who were my first run at motherhood without any official titles. We never got married. Although we were common law in LA, but we never got married, and so they were never officially my stepkids or anything. But to this day, we are still in touch. I always told them, if you and my dad, if your dad and I don't work out, I'm not here in this relationship just because of him, our relationship. If we don't work out, I'm still going to be in your life, because I love you guys. You guys are my girl. You're my babies, especially the little one. I knew his 2 middle ones since they were 2 and 3, been in their lives, and knew, well, when he had the baby, we got back when she was about 6 months old. So raised her, and I never wanted them to think that I was only loving them because of him. That wasn't our relationship. He and I had a relationship, and then the girls and I had a relationship. Long story short, I moved back to Indiana to help out my parents. My dad had graduated from seminary, and he was going to Shipshewana. They gave him a church in Shipshewana. So when I decided I could go to Indiana, help out for about 6 months, I'll come back to LA. I'll put my stuff in storage. I'll go back to LA, and everything will get back to normal. Well, I put my stuff in storage, moved to Indiana, took care of my family, going back and forth, kind of filling out this guy. Well, he ended up marrying the youngest baby's mom. long, yeah, which it didn't, I think it lasted maybe 6 months, maybe. But anyway, he and I were still in touch. Yes, I mean, God gave me every sign. If this ain't something, God gave me every sign to leave this man alone. I'm hard-headed. That's one thing I will say about me. I'm so hard-headed. I don't listen too well. As in my next story, when I was like, all right, God, if this man is not for me, then I need you to send me my husband, please, because I'm tired of this. He's not the one. You have shown me time and time again. I know what you have for me is better than I could have ever wanted for myself. So please, here's what I want though. By the way, I got a list of about 20 items on my to-do list here. I want him to have, this, that, and the other. Everything that I listed. So, and by the way, God, I don't go out. I just go to work and come home. So in that time frame, that's how you're going to have to send him to me, because I don't know how else I'm going to meet him. So at work, I worked in the Ball State Housing Office in Muncie, Indiana. In walks this football coach. And I'm like, okay, how can I help you? Whatever. And he goes away. He comes back the next week. And comes back in, and the guy is with, another guy is with him. And the other guy keeps like looking at me, like trying to peek me out. And I'm like, you got on a wedding ring. Why are you looking at me like that? So anyway, after they leave, I get an email from the coach. And he was like, hey, I was in there a couple of times, woo, spitting his little game. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this coach just emailed me. And my coworker was like, which one? Who? So she looks him up, and as I had been praying that God send me, whatever's on my list, but I didn't want a guy with kids because I had already been down that road. I just lost 4 children. I'm not going to go through that heartache again. It's too hard. I love too hard. You're my kids. I don't ever use step. I don't ever use nothing other than you are my family. That's how I was raised. It's always been that way. And so she's like, and I was like, what? Is he married? And she was like, no, but he's got 2 kids. And I was like, never mind. All right. She's like, well, Anessa, didn't you say that you asked God to bless you? And how do you know? Now you ain't got to marry this man, but how do you know unless you don't give somebody a chance? And I was like, you're right. A girl can eat. So let me go out here and try to find, I can go to dinner. I can get, I can be wined and dined. And so long story short, we ended up talking, emailing on the phone. He's in camp. I am, doing work. I'm back into school online. And finally we meet in person, and there's somebody keeps texting saying there's no interview talking. I don't know what that means. They just hear music. I don't know. Somebody texted, said they only hear music, no interview. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Are they on the radio channel?
I think so.
Oh boy. Okay, well, we are streaming, so
Yeah,
they can go back and watch the video.
Okay.
I'll share this on your page.
Okay.
I think I did already. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, long story short, we end up meeting, and I think our very first date, to be honest, is your play when you guys were in when we did the play at Ball State. Watts,
yes, 92.
South,
Yes.
92.
Yeah.
We were there for the Watts. And so we just ended up instantly. I told him straight off the top, I don't want to be anything, I'm not looking for anything serious. He's not looking for anything serious. And then a year and a half later, we're married. You know what I mean?
Can we pause for 1 second? Can you ask the same people, can they hear it now? If you don't mind. Because I unconnected it and connected it again. So I just want to make sure. But I'm gonna stop. But while she's stopping, I'm gonna say she's being nonchalant about this football guy. Wasn't he just on the show? Was he a big football guy at the time? Like, is it big coach guy? Like,
yeah, Eddie
Coach is
Faulkner.
big.
Yeah.
Eddie Faulkner. He's the coach of The Steelers?
The
Steelers.
Steelers. He wasn't when y'all met, but yeah.
No,
Who
no.
was he a coach of? Who was he a coach of then?
Ball State
Ball State.
University. He
Yeah,
was a
he was
running backs coach at Ball State University. So
Mhm.
we have grown together, you know, and that's part of our journey, you know, like we was there eating eating tuna out of a can and, you know, trying to rub two nickels together. And now, you know, God has just blessed him tremendously, you know, blessed our family. And, you know, we just stay faithful. And at that point, long story short, well, I keep saying long story short, but
Because it is a long story that she's going to write. and by the way, I didn't know it, but we have been getting messages. I'm sorry, you guys. For some reason, it was just showing James's first message, but a lot of people are really into the story. So let's not stop. Go on.
okay.
So the
So-
radio's on too? The radio's good too? That they say to hear it? You should hear it.
I think so, yeah.
I clapped to make sure. Again, the clapping was, that was my, I didn't want y'all to think I was crazy testing the mic.
So
Right.
so Nis, let's go. Okay, so you're married. You've got issues with baby mama from the other babies, but you're still being mama to Madison and Edgar, awesome kids, but you want a baby. Let's go there.
So I, you know, when I wanted to add to our family, you know, yes, he came with two kids. When I met him, they were a little over a year, and just turned 4. And so they were my babies. As soon as I said, I do not want to meet your kids until you know I'm the one, because I fall in love, and, you know, long after you're gone, I'm still gonna have a relationship with your kids. So this is what I want. He was like, nope, if you're gonna meet my kids, you're gonna be the, you know, that's the deal. So I met his kids. You know, they loved me. I loved them. I raised them. But I always wanted to add, you know, we wanted to add to our family. And I was like, okay, I want to have one and then have, adopt one. You know, I always wanted to adopt. I always wanted to add to our family. But my plan was have one, then adopt one. So I'm like, I ain't adopting one until I have one. Well, we tried for a long time. You know, we did IUIs, and we did all the assisted treatments that we could, and it just didn't happen for us. Every month I'd pray for just one healthy age. Lord, please just give me one healthy age. That's all I need. You know, it was my issue. He was totally fine. And one thing I got to say is, God bless my husband. I mean, he has been my rock. Never once has he faltered. Never once did he say, no, ma'am, we are good. No, he's like, whatever you want, I got you. Whatever it is. Never once did he, which gets me to this point. You know, we wanted to add and we couldn't. And so we decided to go ahead and try adoption. And we signed up with this agency, and I had talked to an attorney, and right after I signed up with this agency, the attorney was like, well, I probably wouldn't go with them. If you get your money back, I would probably get your money back. Because if they offer you a child and you don't take the first one that they offer you, then they'll put you on the shelf and you won't hear back from them, and they'll just eat your money. So I was like, okay. He goes, the best way for adoption is really word of mouth. Just tell your friends, tell people at your church, tell people you're around that you're looking. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I did that. You know, I told some friends, you know, keep a lookout. You know, if you hear anybody, just let us know. Nothing happened. So one day at Bible study, we had a little Bible study through our coaches' wives at the school. And one of the other ladies was talking about how she felt her husband had said, I think we missed our calling. I think, you know, we were supposed to adopt. They had 2 boys. And I hope that we hadn't missed our calling, you know, what we were supposed to do. And I feel a little tap on my shoulder, and I was like, And I hear another tap. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. And so I was like, all right, I'm supposed to say this. If anybody hears of anybody that's giving up a child, for adoption, preferably biracial, because we're biracial and we want it to look like us, just let us know. We're open to, adoption. We're not going through an agency, but we are, just doing it on our own. And so, all right, go ahead, back to whatever you're doing. Well, that weekend coming up was Mother's Day weekend, and I was headed to my sister-in-law's to help her move into, she had just moved back to Michigan and move into their home. So I was taking the week to go be with her. Well, I get there on Monday after Mother's Day, and on Tuesday, I get a text from one of my friends in the Bible study, and she's like, "Hey, quick question for you. You said you're not going through an agency, or do you have an attorney?" And I was like, "No agency, but I could have an attorney if I need one." She's like, "Okay, can I call you?" And I was like, "Yes." So she called me and we're talking, and she's like, "Hey, I was at, writing lessons, and the lady was walking around talking about how her daughter's pregnant and she can't have this child and I can't raise another one." And so I asked her, "Is this biracial? Is this child biracial by chance?" And she's like, "Yeah, actually it is." She's like, "I might have a couple for you if she's interested in, truly giving it, up for adoption." She's like, "Really?" She's like, "We just prayed about this Wednesday at Bible study, and she was like, "I'll be in touch." Well, that was Tuesday. So all the rest of the week, I'm talking to her because we're trying to figure out, okay, well, we need to get her tested. She had no due date, no prenatal care. We didn't know when the baby was due. She thought June or July, nobody knew. So she had to get an appointment first first, I wanted to ultrasound, make sure everything was okay. And second, to get a due date. So, and we wanted to be anonymous. She didn't want to know us. We didn't want to know her. So we were kind of working through friends, her mother and a friend. And, so the following Wednesday was supposed to be her, appointment to find out a due date. Well, I fly home that Friday, and so Wednesday's the day we're gonna find out, if we're gonna go forward, what we're gonna do. And so my husband and I are just talking, kind of tossing around names, just kind of like, okay, we don't want to get excited because we don't know what's going to happen. But on that Wednesday morning, so I set up an appointment for her on Thursday. The next day, Wednesday was her appointment. Thursday was my appointment for her anonymously to get everything done. Like 3D ultrasound. I wanted to know A to Z, what's wrong with the baby, if anything, everything. So that Wednesday morning, my friend calls and says, "Hey, she had to go to the hospital. There was some bleeding, and I just thought you should know." And I said, "Not a problem. God has this. It's all in God's hands. Whatever is to be. And I'm okay with whatever." So I go to work out and I strip all the beds, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go work out and I'll come home and finish cleaning. My husband was out of town for work, and I call him and I was like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know I got a call, she had to go to the hospital because she was, bleeding. So whatever's in God's hands." And he was like, "You know what? You're right. It's in God's hands. And, but don't count out that she could be in labor." I'm like, "Whatever, we don't even know. But if she is and she loses the baby or whatever, it's okay. Whatever happens." He's like, "All right, well, just keep me posted." I'm like, "Okay." So I go to work out, and about a little bit later, I get another phone call, and it's my friend again. And she was like, "Hey, you need to step away. Are you at workout?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I need to talk to you." So I walk down the driveway, and she was like, "You need to come to the hospital. You're having a baby." I said, "Excuse me?" She's like, "You're having a baby. She's 5.5 centimeters dilated, and they want you here. This is your child." They said that she was just the carrier. That's how they feel like God had preordained all of this, and there's no way that this is not your child. So you need to get here when you can, because you're about to be a mom. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So now can you meet me? Because I don't know them at all. And she was like, "Yes, I'm turning around. I'm going home, and I'll meet you at the hospital." So then I call my husband. And first thing I say to him, and I'm crying, I'm like hysterical. My friend is like, "Oh God, this is wonderful." And she was, she's our Bible study leader. So she is like witnessing this true miracle or an answered prayer, literally right before her. And so she was like, I was calling Eddie and I said, hey, we're having a baby. And he's like, what? So I was like, yes, we have to get to the hospital because she's having the baby and they want us there when she delivers because I'm the mom, we're the parents and we have to be there. And he was like, okay, I'm turning around. He's so cool. I mean, he was just the best. He's like, okay, I'm turning around. I'm going to go check out of the hotel and I'll be there in a couple hours. And I was like, okay, well, hurry, because I don't know how long this is going to work, how long it's going to take. So I get to the hospital and the mother comes out, the grandmother, she comes out and she wanted to meet me. That was it. No names. She just wanted to see me and to meet me. And so I see this lady walking across the floor and I look up and I swear it looks like my aunt. She looks just like she could be my family. And she walks right up to me. She was like, Anissa? And I was like, she said something. And she was like, I said, yes. And she said, your baby is on his way. And I said, my baby? She's like, your baby. And it just like, I just bawled. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're such a blessing. She said, no, you are the blessing. She was like, we could not have done this any more perfect. Like, this is God to a T. This is your baby. She's like, this is what's going to happen. There's a blanket up. She doesn't want to see, she doesn't want to hear, because she feels like she is literally just carrying your child. So once the baby's born, they will take the baby in another room where you will receive the child, and they will put your wristband on for you and the baby because you're the mom. I was like, I'm just sitting here like, I don't have a diaper. I don't have a Bob. I don't have nothing. Okay. Nothing. And I was just like, all right, God. Okay. This is what we're doing, right? Okay. I'm here. I'm in it. Let's go. And the baby was born and I was like, okay, Eddie, or how far are you? Like, we're just like, the baby's here. Do you want to know what it is? My friend has the information. So as soon as he got there, we were trying, he wanted, of course, for us to meet the baby together, but she came out and got me and I had to go in. So when I go in and the nurses were like, here's your baby. And I was like, oh my God, like still got all the white stuff, like not clean, like literally out of the womb into my hands. Like, and that's how I prayed. I prayed specifically that I would be there at the birth, that I would be the first person to hold him or her, or, and my chest would be the first chest that it lays on. And I mean, like every prayer, everything that I asked for in that prayer, God fulfilled everything. And so
I want to mention, because you won't, she also breastfed. He drank from you first, right?
So when I got in there, I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to be able to breastfeed. So there's a way that you can do that to, if you have some time, months, whatever. And so the nurse says, lactation. So we have a adoptive mother down here that would like to breastfeed. Okay. 5 minutes later, lactation nurses come down and hook me up to this little thingy and put him on me. And I'm like, oh my God. So when my husband comes in the room to, meet his son, there I am sitting with him like, oh, hi, honey. Like, he's right here.
You're probably like, how is that possible? Because I didn't even know it's possible. What?
So there's things, it's really just the sucking. It's the sucking motion. So while I ended up having to stay in the hospital with him for 5 days, we stayed for 5 days in the hospital. And so I was just on the hospital pump for 5 days. And every time he would feed. So it's just a little tube with the formula. So he was drinking formula, but to help get me stimulated, which brought in, I forgot what it was, whatever the stuff that comes out first. The word is slipping my mind at this time, but he got that. It was just so hard for when we got home for me to continue that process because literally we had to go get a bed. We had to go. So I wasn't home every 2 hours to do that. And so we tried it for a few more weeks and then I just kind of gave up. But I did get to do it for a minute. So I get that bonding with him, which is really what the most important part for me was. And then he got the nutrients that he needed in the very beginning, which was most important for him as well. So yes.
Progesterone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I want to read some of these comments because that's what we do. Olivia Bowman said, good afternoon. And Brian says hi. James says hi. Michael says hi. What's up? Shake what your mama gave you. Appreciate your invite. Of course, Michael. Soul Train is where James got his moves. I didn't know you had moves, James. I gotta see you. I guess I saw a little bit in Philadelphia, but we got some more. That could be cold-blooded. Good afternoon, ladies. They always do a Soul Train line. Your church sounded like it was truly the truth. It was. That's why I haven't been able to find another one. Very interesting and enlightening story. Beautiful story. Great afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies. It was from Malik. Hi. Great dialogue as always. And Michael said, I'm glad you were obedient and played the long game and allowing the creator to show you greater. And to me, that sums it up. Amen. Michael, thank you for that. Thank you, everyone that's listening in. I mean, like I said, this story has to be a book because there are so many details that we just don't have time to share. I mean, like the sobbing phone calls from Anissa and this whole process trying to have this baby, not understanding God's will, saying, why can't I have a child? And, you know, just the whole story I know would bless other people that are going through these things. You know, your story is a story of hope. And once you let go, because like you said, you hard-headed and you would not let go. When you did.
Well, let me tell you what caused me to let go.
Mm-hmm.
So my older two kids lived in Minnesota with their other mom, and my husband had done a father-daughter dance the year before with his daughter, and so he was going to do it again that year, and it happened to fall on the Friday of Mother's Day weekend. So I was going to tag along. She didn't know I was coming. I was going to tag along on that trip. And I mean, it meant the world to me because we were going to come home on Mother's Day that Sunday. And this would have been the first time that I would have been able to, as their mom, spend a little bit of Mother's Day with them, just an hour or whatever, just breakfast, something, just to see my kids on Mother's Day. In person, to hug them, the whole, you know, just to have that time. And Madison was like, I want to go to a sleepover, so you don't have to come. I'm not going to go to the dance. I'd rather go to my friend's sleepover. And I was offended. And my husband was like, it's not you she's turning down, it's me. She don't even know you're coming. And I was like, you know what? You're right. You know, it's not about me, but I made it about me. And so when he was like, are you sure you don't want me to come? You want me to cancel my flight? And she was like, yeah, go ahead and cancel. We can do it another time. And he hung up and I lost it. I went to the office in our home and I just started screaming and hollering and just crying and yelling at God, like, why would you take this one moment away from me? And in that process, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I quit. At this point, I don't even want it anymore. I just, I just want to feel like somebody's mom. And in that process of letting go and finally relinquishing what I wanted and gave it all back to him, that was like after Bible study, like literally that next Wednesday, at Bible study is when I was like, I felt the tap, like, okay, here we go. And then I think Mother's Day was that following weekend. So it was like, a few weeks before we were supposed to go to Minnesota. But literally the dominoes fell right after I just had enough. I was like, okay, God, you know what? I'm done. Whatever you want, let it be, because obviously anything that I want doesn't matter, me and my little smart aleck mouth. And I was just like, I'm done, whatever. And then lo and behold, less than 2 weeks later, I want to say I had a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That literally looks like nobody. When people see us, they literally think he looks just like us.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would not be able to tell. That was part of my prayer. Like, Lord, I pray that he looks like us, like we all are a family.
Mm-hmm.
And he answers you. Pray specifically. It may not be in your time. It may not be what you want or how you want it to be, but God will answer. And he answers better than you could have ever imagined.
He's had a specific desire too. It's almost like God gives you desires. So you had specific desires. You were real sure about what you want.
Yeah, very specific in everything. In my husband, he is one of the greatest blessings that God has ever given me. Still to this day, I'm so grateful for my husband daily, every day. And I hope that he knows that, that he is my rock, because he never wavered. When I texted him and said, hey, we could have a baby in June or July, he was like, what? And then he calls me like, what are you talking about, girl? He never questioned. He never said, now let's hold on. Let's think about this. He's like, all right, what do we need to do? He never, ever wavered, ever. When I called him and said, we're having a baby, he's like, I'm turning around. He didn't pause. There was no break. He turned around. He was like, all right, I'm going to check out. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's a blessing. And I'm just so grateful that God gave me the husband that he did, and his family. Oh my gosh, they have welcomed me like, and our children, and our child, when we got our families together to say, hey, turn around, like we called his mom and called my parents and said, hey, can you meet at my parents' house after you get off work? And they're like, yeah, we just have something to tell you. So it could either be, a new job change, because those come quite frequently. And they were like, well, what's going on? So we got there, my husband FaceTimed them, and here I am laying in a hospital gown, in a hospital bed with a newborn on my chest. And they're like, we just wanted you to, and my husband was like, we just wanted you to meet your new grandson. We were like, what? And they're like, okay, never missed a beat, and that's such a blessing. And then, when I say I didn't have kids, no, God blessed me with Edgar and Madison. Those are my two most greatest blessings, because not only, did I get a chance to be their mom, and being their mom, but they have taught me so much about being a mom. Motherhood is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I make a lot of mistakes. Being a step parent is 10 times worse. Like, it is so hard. We've never used step. I've never introduced them as my stepchildren. They have never introduced me as their stepmom. We have never been that, ever, to anybody, other than officially, if we're talking in conversation officially. But, I love them as if I gave birth to them myself. And at times I have to smack myself and be like, because I get half mad that there's somebody else calling them mom. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, Lord, no, thank you for her for giving birth to them so that I could be a mom, Stop.
Mm-hmm.
I have to roll that in sometimes, because I get, very motherly and overprotective and be like, nah, they my kids. So I can only imagine, and she feels the same way. We haven't had a good relationship, but I can imagine, I understand. And so I just do my part to be as respectful towards her as I can, because I know, being on my side, how I feel. So I can only imagine now having to share my children with someone else. So.
And the good thing is, I think if you remember, because we got to wrap it up, we got 1 minute. If you love the children, that's all that matters. Who feels what and all that. Is if you just love those kids, love them. And sometimes that includes loving their mother or their father or the whoever. You got to love them. You may not like them, but you got to love them That's where the respect comes in. I think that if you put the children first, that's all that matters. That all the rest of the stuff will fall into place, because that's what's important. And on that note, you guys, you got to look forward to this book. I'm not sure when it's going to come. I'm hoping I can help out in any way I can, because I think it's a story that needs to be told. Thank you so much, Anissa Faulkner, McPeak Faulkner, for joining us today. And I love you very much. Your story is amazing, and you are more amazing than that. Shelly Shell, you want to share anything before we say goodbye?
Oh, no, you know what? I'm getting ready to do a 30-day challenge, accountability challenge, not workout. I know I'm doing 30 days workout, but more so accountability, because everybody keeps saying, you inspire me. And I want to inspire them for real, to really take it up a notch, to really do it. You don't have to, I'm not a fitness person, but accountability, mindset changing, to be able to work out 30 days straight. That took a lot of mental work, believe me. So yes, I'm starting that in June. So I want people to join. You can email me your information, and then I'll send out the information. But 30 days challenge. We're going to do fit. We're going to be healthy. We're going to no.
All right, cool. I'm gonna join you. I work out every day too, differently than you. The stuff you do, I can't do that mess. But the stuff I do, I can do.
Yeah, but you can. Yeah, I'm going to interview people in a group and everything. So yay! Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I'll join you in that. Even though I'll be traveling, I'm gonna make sure I get something done every single day. And like I do, because it's the best thing for my mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. So also, so for this week on the podcast, I have my cousins Akbar and Hermina Shabazz. They are joining us as a couple, because this crosses, May and June crosses this time. So I wanted to have a mother and a father, because in June it's going to be fathers. And so Hermina is representing moms and Akbar is representing dads, and we get to talk to them about their life and how they took some major risks in raising their children, just to be with their children so they could be engaged. So please check out the podcast Friday on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and many other platforms. Thank you, Anissa. Again, tell Eddie thank you for taking care of my cousin.
Thank you for having me and letting me share our story with you. Thank you very much.
Definitely. And give the baby a kiss for me. It was his birthday last week. Happy birthday, Zay.
6 years.
6 years. And he's really all that, because his birthday's a day after mine. So yeah, I felt like I was given a gift too. All right, y'all. Thank you everyone for listening in. James, Earl, Michael, Malik, and Ramon, and everybody else. And there's more. Olivia, appreciate Brian. Love you guys. Please join us again next week. That's a wrap.
Thank you. Bye.
ABC.